Good morning. Hello. I guess it's afternoon really, but hello, my algebra doing friends. I wanted to share with you the notes for chapter 0. And so let's get started. So, Math 75, chapter 0 notes, the basics. We're going to start off here with 1.1. 0.1. So they start off with exponential notation, and so b here is called the base, and in there is called the exponent. And what this means when you have that is it means that you repeatedly multiply your base however many times n says. So that b to the 1 is just 1b, and b to the second is b times b, and b to the third is b times b times b. So there would be 3 of them, etc. And so this definition is only good if you have a whole number, so you couldn't have 1.5 b's over there, and so it has to be a whole number. So number 20 says 10 raised to the 4th. So this is 10 times 10 times 10 times 10. They asked us to expand. There it is, expanded, and then multiply. And so the next part is to multiply this together, and you get 10,000, right? I was going to have to count those zeros. I'll write a little comment in there, 10,000. The other thing that they talk about in chapter 0.1 is the order of operations. And some people have the order of operations memorized with please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, or PEMDAS. And that's the one that I grew up with and used to use. And then other people have changed and are using GEMS, which stands for grouping symbols, exponents, multiply, and his best friend division, and subtraction, and her best friend addition. And so either way, I don't care. It doesn't matter. The one thing that I did wrong when I had please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, when I used that, was I thought that multiplication always came before division because of the way I said it, and I didn't realize that multiplication and division are on the same line, left to right. I hope I have an example of that here. I don't. I'll make one up so that you can see that you really do have to be careful about that. So that would be the one that I would make a mistake on. Okay, so we're going to try the order of operation on these two problems here. P stands for parentheses, G stands for grouping symbols. The grouping symbols are parentheses, brackets, braces, and absolute value, but also the numerator and the denominator of a fraction are also grouping symbols. So parenthesis is just one type of grouping symbol. There's many other, and so in PEMDAS, when you have that, you have to know that there are many other types of grouping symbol besides just parenthesis. And anyway, so here there is no parenthesis, or grouping symbol. There are no exponents. There is multiplication, and so you can see that I have 8 plus 9 times 4. So I need to go and do this multiplication. So this would be 8 plus, and then 9 times 4 is 36, right? And then now I only have one thing left to do. I could go back to the top of the order of operations since I did one thing and say, are there any parentheses or grouping symbols? No. Are there any exponents? No. Is there any multiplication or division? Now the answer is no, because I did the multiplication. Is there any addition or subtraction? And the answer is, yeah, there's an addition, so I wouldn't want to do that addition. Let's see, 36 plus 8, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44. That was for you, Mom. My mom always says, my daughter has a master's in math and she counts on her fingers. And I know my mom watches nearly all of my videos, and so anyway, I love her. And so 44. And so now we're going to try problem 66 here. And it does have a grouping symbol. So it has this grouping symbol right here, the brackets. When I'm reading left to right, I come across that. And then inside that grouping symbol, I notice that it has another It has parentheses. Now, this could be written with both of these being parentheses, and it still would mean the same thing. I like that our book used brackets and then the parentheses so that we could see where one ended and began and whatnot. So we would be working inside, that's where we would be, is working inside of that grouping symbol, of those parentheses. And inside those parentheses is not another set of parentheses or another grouping symbol. There are no exponents in there. There's, you notice I'm doing the order of operations. There is multiplication in there, 3 times 6. So that's what I would need to do, that 3 times 6. So this 5, and then the bracket, and 10 plus 2, that just comes down. And I'm working inside this parenthesis, and all I'm doing is 3 times 6, which is 18. And yes, you get where you're good and at the order of operations, and you can see where you can kind of shortcut and skip some steps, and that's usually when people start making boo-boo. But I am going to show it out step by step. So I am now, I did one thing, order of operations. Oh yes, the grouping symbol I remember. Oh yes, the grouping symbol I remember. And inside this grouping symbol had been a multiply, which we did, but there isn't any grouping symbols in the grouping symbol. There isn't exponents. There had been a multiply, we did it, but now we're going to do the subtraction. And so that's 8, right? 18 take away 10. So we're going to do this right here, and we're going to get 8. So the rest of this just comes along. And this is where sometimes people are like, oh, I didn't realize that. That there was, because that 2 parenthesis 8, and sometimes people don't realize that what that is saying is 2 times 8. And so whenever you have a number right next to a parenthesis, that's multiplication. And so now that I've got the 8 got inside the parenthesis to only being one thing, this is telling me multiply those things together. So this right here is a multiply. So when I go and I start at the order of operations, are there grouping symbol? Yeah, there's this grouping symbol. Now you might say, inside this grouping symbol, is there anything to do? No, there's not any work to do. I still have the parenthesis there. That grouping symbol, that parenthesis, is now meaning multiply. So I'm now looking inside the brackets, right? Knowing that means multiply. Are there exponents? No. Is there multiply? Yeah, there's multiply. There it is right there. And that's 16. 2 times 8 is 16. And so now I only have one grouping symbol, and I'm working inside that grouping symbol. There is no grouping symbol inside the grouping symbol, so I'm here. There's no exponents. There is no multiply, but there is add, and that's 26. And when you have this 5 right next to that grouping symbol, the brackets, it means the same thing as it did when it was parentheses. 5 parentheses 26 would also mean multiply, and also 5 times 26 with a centered dot. In algebra, you don't typically write a little x for times. That's something that you do in arithmetic. And the reason is because in algebra, we're going to solve for variables, and the most common variable is the variable x. So that's the reason that you don't use it for multiply. But all of these are saying the same thing, which is for me now to multiply, right? Because this grouping symbol, there's no longer any work to do inside of it. There's no exponents. There's a multiply. That's what that is. And what is 5 times 26? So is it 130? I think it is. You guys can tell me if I'm wrong. I might go over here, and that's a 0. That's a 10, 13. It is 130. Hot diggity dog. Okay, so we did that one. So that's what I have for 1.1, but I wanted to give you a bonus problem. And that bonus problem would be something like this. Making it up, so I have to think for a second. I now have it. So this bonus problem is one that people often miss because of the "please excuse my dear Aunt Sally." And I would have gotten this problem wrong every single time. It took me a while to write it up. And the reason I would have got it wrong is because I would have said, okay, there's no grouping symbols. There's no exponents. There's multiply, and that's what I would have been on. There's multiply, and I would have come and done that multiply. But that's not the order of operations. Multiplication and division are on the same line, right to left. And so if you have both multiply and division in a problem, you do the whatever is left to right. So really, I should be doing 20 divided by 5 is what I should be doing. So I know that people sometimes say that shouldn't you do the multiply? And no, you shouldn't. You should do the divide. And 20 divided by 5 is 4, and 4 times 4 is 16. And so that you could see that you would get a different answer had you done the so the wrong, right, incorrect, I don't know, is to do this and say this is 20, and so get 20 divided by 20, which is 1, and that's not right. One good thing I like is, this is my favorite calculator, is a Casio. And in our, you can like the TI, so I still like you if you like the TI, but I like the Casio, and I'm allowed to use, I'm allowed to like whatever calculator I like, and you're allowed to like which one you like. I like the Casio so well that sitting right here at my desk, I was kind of putting things there, and I noticed that I have 4 calculators right here, and I can see another one over there, but I'm not going to reach it, and they're all Casios. I do have a TI at school. It's my loaner one. I'm too afraid to let anyone borrow my lovely Casio. But if I do 20 divided by 5 times 4, it gives me the 16. The only thing that, you know, if I could talk to Casio and say to them, hey, I love your calculator, if I could change one thing about it, it would be that they would change that times right there that they used an X with to a dot, which is more common, you know, the dot. I want to show you how to put in 66 in this calculator while I'm here. And so we had 5, right? So I'm looking here, whoops, looking here at problems. I pointed on my screen, looking here at problem 66. So we had the 5, and then it had the parenthesis, and you're probably noticing there's no bracket if you look all over here, but there is parenthesis. And remember I told you it didn't matter if that was parenthesis or bracket. And so we're going to have here 10 plus 2, 3 times 6 minus 10, double parenthesis, and you hit it and we get the 130 we have. That's my telephone, and I'm done with this video anyway. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.